close to 6 p.m. We're holding this meeting in person at the MDTA Police Building at the BBRAG. Attendees should note that this meeting is being recorded and will be available on the BRAG webpage after the meeting for attendees to view and download. Attendees should also note that the recording will include the audio and video from this evening's meeting. Presentations will be available to download from the BRAG webpage. I would ask anyone in the room with us this evening, please refrain from speaking unless you are presenting or answering questions so that background noise is minimized for those viewing remotely. Members of the public pre-registered to comment on specific agenda item. I will provide you with an opportunity to comment after the agenda items presented. We appreciate everyone's patience and ask that you hold any comments until the designated time. We ask that you please introduce yourself by giving us your name and community you represent before moving on with your question or comment. Members of the public join us via Microsoft Teams will be able to view the meeting only. For security reasons, the chat function in Microsoft Teams is not enabled for MDTA personnel. Any posts entered in the chat window are not visible to staff and will not be responded to. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded in its entirety. For the record, all members are present except for Melissa.
Hi there. Yeah, I can't only see Tracy, so I can't see who's sitting at the table. I know.
Mr. Foster's not here. Mr. Bradley's not.
Okay.
Jim Moran, Christopher Moran, and Ms. Farrow's not here. I think that's it.
Great. Thank you.
I believe Mr. Peter Bradley has resigned.
I think he's hasn't had a replacement. Did he resign, Melissa, or he has a replacement?
Yes, he hasn't been, there hasn't been a nominated replacement yet. He's still on the board until there's a replacement, but yeah.
You talk to him, Ms. Pat? You want to let him know that? He's still a member until he is replaced.
I told him that. It's fine.
Before we move on to our first agenda item, I'd like to remind members that time is needed in advance of each meeting to prepare for items on the agenda. The request for items that is sent out contains a date by which all agenda items need to be submitted to Melissa. We're getting a few late, like within the last week or so, agenda items from our committee, people requesting things to be brought up to this meeting. And it takes their team personnel a lot of time to get things together, numbers and information together. So please have your request in for agenda items by the date that Melissa has requested them by, or they might not be included in that month's quarterly meeting. So it's pretty spelled out there what date you're supposed to have them back by. So if I try to get that, I appreciate it, and she would appreciate it. You know, all the personnel that have to get that information together appreciate it. Gives them more time and stuff. So. All right,
Thank
Melissa.
you, Tracy. I would like to just introduce a couple special guests we have for tonight. Preeti Emmerich, would you like to introduce yourself, as well as Jason Pulliam? And I'm not sure if there's anyone else in the room too that would like to say hello.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Preeti Emmerich. I'm the director of the Anne Arundel County Office of Emergency Management. I'm here along with Jason and Scott to answer any questions regarding the wireless emergency alerts. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get to that later. Yeah.
Good evening, Jason Pulliam. I'm the Director of Traffic Management and Technology from the Maryland Transportation Authority.
Thank you for joining us. Our first agenda item is a review of the minutes of the previous meeting held in April. Does anybody have any changes, corrections, or anything for the minutes? July 9th meeting? Not, we'll get a motion to approve. Motion to approve. Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, the next reported group activities. Our next agenda item is requirement of House Bill 56, which is a report on the group's activities since last meeting. Any recommendations they have based on those activities. As for BRAG duties, they are to provide the MDTA with an independent, citizen-informed perspective of authorities' operations at Bay Bridge. Thus, potential concerns about activity at the Bay Bridge, educate the public about activity related to the Bay Bridge, and work with the MDTA and provide pertinent input related to traffic and customer service issues. Would any members like to share their individual activities, educational activities, and interactions with your community since the last?
Okay. Not a whole lot to report because I think everybody got pretty used to the backups, the 20 and 18-mile backups. So it's quieted down. I had a lunch meeting with Heather Janelli. She's in charge of economic development in Queen Anne's County. And she says that the business owners there, some like the lane closures and some don't like them. Not the lane, the ramp closures and some don't. It's about 50-50. What else? Oh, and then of course the new big thing everybody wants, and I'm sure somebody here is going to explain it to us, why the bridge piling and the bridge are off center. We'll have to get that at some point.
I was gonna have that as part of my update.
Okay. And that's all I would say.
All
Yeah, similar feedback from Nick, that off-center bridge piling seems to be the big issue going around, and it's really kind of a confidence thing.
Confidence?
Yeah,
Okay.
public confidence
Okay.
and,
I
you
thought
know,
you said competence for a second.
no, not
I
confidence.
understand confidence.
Confidence. Made the news, unfortunately, so hopefully we can have some kind of feedback to share. But the sense I get on the ramp closures is, most folks feel that it did work, except if you live down Route 8. Then you coming up north and you got to double back around. But I think overall, it seems to be a kind of a positive, generally positive impact on the community. There's a lot of kind of anxious waiting about what the new infrastructure will be across the island with the third span. And whenever I was just asking Melissa if the the meeting is set yet, but apparently it is not. But there is interest in what that new future is going to look like for Kent Island. We have an issue that I brought up last time. It's a local developmental issue of a Dunkin' Donuts proposed to go up at Cox Neck Road, which is already probably the most dangerous intersection on the island, Cox Neck and Route 50. I had discussed this before and after. There was a zoning hearing, discussed it with Ken Fender, and as it turned out, unfortunately, it's one of these deals where, in spite of being a massive safety hazard, it meets the minimum requirements to be able to be approved by both SHA and the county traffic standards. It was disappointing to many of us. That was turned down by the planning commission, but we understand that they're looking to get a new traffic study and come back in again, possibly to the planning commission. So we'll see. I guarantee you, if that goes in, it's going to be accidents backing up out onto Route 50, and it will have a major impact on our traffic coming to and from the bridge. But I think overall, I want to say thanks to you guys for the work that MDTA does.
Ms. Pat, do you have anything?
Oh, yes. I'm a member of the Broadneck Council as well as GAN, Growth Action Network. And I want to thank you all for cleaning up the light poles. I get all the complaints from both sides. And one of the big complaints, this has been going on for 6 years, so I don't know what the future of these damn light poles and the dead lights, but it's exit 27, 28. They're both dangerous. They're both highly utilized. They're right next to the Stone River Bridge. And there've been piles of lights with the light poles just strewn along the ground, right next to the curb. And I've been working with you all, and you've done a great job. I was told that cleanup would be done in the last few months, and there's still things there, but I'm very happy, and the main complainer is very excited about the fact that the poles have been removed. I'm not sure whether you want our input when we see lights out. A lot of people do, follow that and do call me. And I know you have a set time that you do this work. But if there's something that we can do in the community leadership organization where you're not getting a phone calls, but one or two of us call and say, hey, we got a light out such and such a place, we'll be glad to do it. But thanks so much. And then let's see. We have a similar situation, Jack, to yours. Chick-fil-A wants to open up they call it a drive-through. But interesting enough, they put 47 parking places in the lot. It's over on the on Ritchie Highway. It's right at Arnold Road and Ritchie Highway. Very dangerous place. It's probably the worst place you could put. If I wanted exposure, like the business people who own the place, good place, there's a lot of traffic. As far as the community, they're up in arms. The meetings just about every night. So just to make you aware of it, I've been working at these organizations in transportation for years. And I've never seen such an uprising. And there's something wrong when we have these traffic studies done. I think we really need to tighten up the traffic studies because major problems are occurring and they should be caught at the time of the traffic study. And so right now, apparently Chick-fil-A has gotten major approvals to go forward. And we still feel we have an opening on that, but we're trying to say, we love Chick-fil-A, but somewhere else. That's it.
Good evening, everyone. About 2 weeks ago, we had our primary election for mayor and council members in the Annapolis area. Prior to that, there were a number of outreach events where I was able to come and talk to various council members. Obviously, the future of the Bay Bridge is a topic of conversation because it impacts folks coming into Annapolis at various festivals in the summer. So always people want an update on, when the Bay Bridge, when the new span will be happening. Also, the center pylon came up during one of the conversations as well. That's why I brought it to attention during an email because I saw that as well. But just basically just trying to keep everybody abreast of the progress we're making through this conversations here, and to let everybody know that help is on the way. But obviously, it's a concern for a lot of these folks involved in a lot of the festivals that happen in the Annapolis area during the summer, especially with the grand closures and all that. So just keeping everybody abreast of all the updates that are going on.
Great. Briefly, if I could add at this point. So Bruce Gardner, Executive Director of MDTA, usually don't participate in this part of the forum, but I think given the community outreach and the education that the agency has done over the past week on a couple issues, I wanted to offer that now. So one, we did have our CTP meeting in Queen Anne's County, so we're able to brief commissioners and the delegation on a couple items and refer them in terms of the traffic study, some of the updates that Jim and Melissa are going to be giving later. Told them that we'd have more detail for you, which they seemed fine with dealing with that. Commissioner Moran did say at that point he wouldn't be here tonight, but right just prior to that meeting last Tuesday, we did have the social media posts about that the bridge pier being the cap being off center from the columns. So we did put a statement out on Monday that came to our attention in multiple directions on Sunday morning. So I was getting emails, Jim Harkness was getting emails alerting us to this post that was out there. We didn't respond to it on Sunday. We did have Jamie and his crew in operations did get out there and look at the pier on Sunday just to make sure that what the public was seeing, they had eyes on up close. The engineering team inspectors were out there Sunday night after the traffic. This is a situation condition that the inspections had known about. Jim can answer questions later during his major projects update, but the importance that we tried to stress to the public is the steel girders that are on top of the cap that are across those columns, that is centered. This was very much a condition that's existed since the bridge was built. And we do have pictures from years ago, and there's some memory from some folks that were here people bringing it up before. This is the first time we had to deal with kind of viral social media with a picture with circles around it and people making comments on social media. So
Social media back in the day.
so 6-7 years ago it was here, but it wasn't nearly as much. You know, some of you might have seen the article in the column in the banner that was talking about different Bay Bridge myths last Friday. I was quoted in there. I don't know that his question was directly related to what he had me quoted on, but regardless, I think we did acknowledge that, you know, this is something that's been out there before. You know, the comment there was, well, it was 36 hours before, you know, we put a statement out. Well, it was, you know, on a Sunday that we had to wait till Sunday night. We had initial eyes on it. We want to make sure that we're exactly accurate. We didn't have any concerns in the moment, but as we put something out to the media, I think, you know, there's always a good discussion among communications experts about, you know, when you elevate something up. So, you know, maybe we could have done it sooner. Maybe we could have done it later. Maybe we didn't do it all. What we chose to do is put something out Monday and clarify it with the media. So just wanted to offer that to you and, you know, open ourselves up to questions. As I said, Jim will be at the mic later on major projects, so I can put him on the hot spot there. But, you know, it was an interesting Sunday afternoon for some of us. So just, you know, I think we value input and things from the public. What is challenging is, you know, uninformed speculation in a moment on something. So it's just part of what we have to do. So I thank you to everyone on the team that got out there and helped address that. So yeah, just wanted to offer that in this.
Thank you. We're getting correct.
Just, I mean, is that something that's, because obviously if you've known about it, then it's a question I would get, like, why haven't you done something? Why have you let it go? So
Bridge is perfectly straight, safe. There wasn't need to do anything about it. If it was centered above the,
it's just,
even if that,
the
yeah.
visuals of it is just, yeah. Okay.
I mean, yeah, before I talked to Jim about it, I'm, you know, looking at it too and going, well, that, yeah, same thing everybody else had the reaction to, but, you know, and thinking, you know, through that process. And so before you all ask more questions, I have a political science major. Our chief engineer, who's a PE, will be up later.
Ask him.
Okay,
Right, thank you.
get much better information.
Thank you for clarifying the
Yeah,
post on the line and stuff, and we'll get some more information from the cameras. He likes cameras.
What about the public notice that was in the paper? About the new bridges and 4 and 5 lanes. If you're, I guess if you're in Mariner, you find a website or vote on. Have you seen those?
Melissa, do you know, what, I don't know what you're referencing.
I saw it today. Public notice.
Okay. Yeah, you can talk about that today and, yeah, during our presentation.
But
One last thing. I've had a proliferation of calls complaining about signage. And there's a bill before the county council right now to put some, rules around hanging signs. But this happens constantly. We make a little noise and then people stop hanging signs and the neighborhoods are clean. But every now and then you have to do something. And I know state highways is a major responsibility for signs, but even I noticed them, and it needs some help. So I would say of all the things that I've gotten calls about, that's the one that's the most prolific.
And you mean the, like, businesses putting up a temporary sign in the right of way? Yeah.
With no permission.
Right.
And there was a write-up in the Capitol recently about it. And they said there's virtually no enforcement. And you could just do it, and there used to be a time frame that you were allowed to put a sign up and then it had to be removed. Then there was something, but no signs on Sunday, but nobody's not doing so.
So, yeah, I mean, it is illegal, right? So if that's state highway right away, no one is allowed to post signs there. We do try and watch, especially during election season, when we see the most. However, you know, our crews aren't necessarily out on the weekends, which is when people tend to put the signing out.
Well, we're very lucky to have Terry coming to speak at the Growth Action Network, you're from the council. We're, meeting this on the 23rd of October, so you'll probably get questions on that. Just wondering.
Kim Tran, district engineer, will also be joining.
All right, move on to our next agenda item, some updates on current projects from MDTA Chief Engineer Jim Harkness. We have MDTA SHA Deputy Administrator Chief Engineer of Operations Terry Seuss. Whoever wants to go first,
Jim standing.
let you fight it out.
Good evening. My name is Jim Harkness. I'm the Chief Engineer for Maryland Transportation Authority. We'll be going through some project updates. So we have 5 projects to cover with you tonight. The first one we call BB 3017, which is the eastbound deck replacement, and that was phase 1. So from last meeting, we've done a little bit more work on the gantries, the overhead sign gantries. So we're about 90% complete on getting those sign gantries with the lane use control signals replaced. We have the 3 gantries that are in that deck replacement section. Those are all done and functional, and now we just have to replace the 2 that are in the suspension span area. Additionally, since the last meeting, the contractor completed the placement of all the panels. So all 156 panels were installed by the end of July. The contractor is now working on pouring out those link slabs. So removing those temporary concrete panels that we had set in place and then pouring those slabs that connect the 2 panels together. They have 60 of those done, which is almost 50%. So they have just over 50% to get done. They look to be doing 4 of those a night, and they're really going to set at it again starting next week with the objective of finishing before Thanksgiving. So that's the goal on getting those completed. When you drive over the bridge, heading towards the Eastern Shore, the first half of the panel replacement section, if you will, still has the temporary panels. The second half is where the link slabs were poured out. So hopefully you can kind of tell the difference there. And then after it's all said and done, we'll come in and we'll actually groove the deck as well. So we'll make it even more of a continuous surface there. So it should be hopefully a smooth ride when we're all done that. That contractor is continuing with some structural work. So some of that truss strengthening work that they did a year and a half ago, they're continuing that work on this side of the suspension span. And that would set us up for moving to phase 2. So this was phase 1, moving to phase 2 of this contract, which would replace some of the deck on this side of the suspension span. So that truss strengthening work that they're doing now sets us up to do that work, hopefully sometime next year, getting that out to bid in 2026. Okay, our second project is BB 3021. This is our on-call structural repairs and miscellaneous modifications. So this is that cyclical contract that we have that just addresses inspection findings. It goes out and is able to perform those. So this contractor has completed 4 tasks that we've given them. They have another 6 active tasks. One of those tasks being some concrete deck patching work on the westbound span. So because we've been on eastbound span so long with all of our closures doing the deck replacement, we're now we took a break there and we were focused on westbound for a little while, so that we've been doing a lot of the deck patching westbound. So if you're in lane 2, you might notice some of that in certain sections. That task order is more than 60% done. So there is still some more of that work to do. But again, we'll be kind of managing that between being able to get over on the eastbound and pour those link slabs for the first project we talked about, and balancing, the need for the patching on the westbound. So that type of activity is what we're doing under that on-call project. The third project is BB 3025, which is a new project. It is in procurement. It is not in the construction yet, but it is a cleaning and painting of the structural steel on eastbound, and we're calling that phase one. So we need to perform this work. The coating system has been in place for quite some time on the eastbound bridge. Additionally, the work under the deck replacement project did a lot of additional steel strengthening, truss strengthening. So, you know, we kind of messed with the coating a little bit. So we need to get in there and put a new coating on it. So we'll be cleaning off the old paint, the old coating, and applying a new coating for the portion where we did the redecking. We're also getting the portion of the suspension towers from the roadway deck down to the water surface. We're covering that in this contract as well. So that's the scope of phase one. We're going to phase this work to follow the deck replacement work. So there would be a phase two, which would ultimately follow the phase two deck replacement. So that'll just continue on as we go through the deck replacement projects.
Does that have a containment system?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. So we'll be below deck on all this because of the nature of where we're doing that work. We're not doing it in the through truss over the roadway, so we'll be underneath. But from when you're on the westbound bridge, you'll be able to look over and see the containment system. Okay, BB 3004. That is the construction of a maintenance equipment storage building. This project is in design. We are wrapping up our final review for this and preparing to submit the contract documents to our procurement division. So this should be getting ready for advertisement soon. I think I have a bad date on there. So had 9/15, it was actually I think it's 12/15. So by December, we would look to advertise this project. And then our final project is BB 3023. That is the Bay Bridge protection project. This is the project where we're looking to design and construct a enhanced bridge protection system. And that is going to be based on the current AASHTO code requirements for bridge pier protection. So we've been working on putting together a concept as well as put together the request for proposals. So we are currently still working on that, but ready to turning that over to our procurement division, again, with the idea that we'd be able to advertise this by the end of the year and then go through the award process and award mid-year next year. And,
Excuse me, Jim, what is the expected completion date? Do you know yet?
we're looking at, from the start of construction, probably 2 years. That's our estimate. Okay. Just at this time, I'll just also give a little update on summer 2025, the traffic volume review. I kind of do this each year, so this meeting and this October meeting, so we'll take this chance to do that. Here, this is an overview of the past years. So we started with 21 up to 25. So you can see the darkest line is obviously incomplete because we're just showing you kind of how that compared to the beginning of the year. And then in that summer season is right there in the middle. In terms of actual numbers here for the summer, we were looking at 88,500 a day, which is just a slight increase over last year, just a very minor increase. So last year we averaged 88,100 a day. So just a slight bump there. And so we can go into look at the major days, the Thursday through Sunday for the summer period. Go ahead, Charles. So for Thursdays, just kind of recalling, it was 88,500 on average for the every day for the whole week, but for
Both directions?
for Thursdays, yes, eastbound and westbound, 93,500. So an increase of 3.3% over last year. And you can see both eastbound and westbound volumes contributed to that. So we were seeing eastbound and westbound at approximately, the 3.3, 3.2, contributing to an overall Thursday increase of 3.3. You can kind of see up here the darker lines with the circles, those are this year's, and then the lighter lines without the circles are last year. So you can see where we saw some growth in volumes eastbound. There, you would have seen less volumes this year than last year. And then, so this is westbound, this is eastbound, and then this is if you combine them together to see where the total change in traffic volume is for Thursdays.
Thursday's a new Friday, huh?
Good morning. Friday, actually. Friday. So, pretty close, right? Yeah, almost right on. So, 93.5 for Thursdays, 93.650 for Fridays. So it is the Friday, right? Now, year over year, only 0.4%. So not a big growth. Pretty minor, a little bit on each direction, but pretty much holding steady. You can just see you can see differences throughout the day of when we were seeing those volumes, but as the day as a whole, almost unchanged. But just that pattern of demand where was occurring earlier this year. Eastbound was occurring earlier on Fridays than last year, and then in the middle of the day you had less demand eastbound. And so that's just sort of those traffic patterns. Then we go on to,
Tim, and looking at the bottom line.
yes,
Okay. Tim,
Yep.
it's kind of blurry.
right, so this is noon here,
Okay.
middle of the day, starting at midnight. Go.
Jim, that's an important chart. Can we get a copy of it?
Yeah, with this.
Yeah,
Can we get?
absolutely, it'll be
And it's
Yeah.
posted on the
Yeah.
BRAG
It'll be
website too.
Yeah. Okay. So Saturdays. Saturdays, we're down to 89,550, right? So we're seeing Thursdays high, Fridays highest, and then start to drop off for the Saturday. We had a 1.1% less this year than last year, mostly driven by less eastbound demand. So eastbound demand was lower on this year, this summer Saturdays than last summer Saturdays. You can kind of get those patterns. Obviously the blue eastbound, higher in the morning. The westbound demand kind of happens midday and on. Again, these periods here are just kind of representative of when we're normally in two-way operations. So it kind of gives you that idea.
Has there been a study to show, if any, impact key bridges had on westbound traffic here?
Yeah, we looked at that. We looked at that last year, and it wasn't. Aside from normal kind of changes in traffic patterns, we didn't see anything that you could attribute to key
I
bridges.
mean, we obviously see it on Sunday and Monday with our eyes. A couple of times, 301 was backed up to 213.
Yeah.
People are taking alternate routes off of 404 and stuff.
Right.
But I'm going west.
Right, as I was saying, they're coming off 404 through Reedsburg, not Reedsburg. Yeah, back where you're there and cutting off from 213 to 301.
I remember one day they were doing that, 21 mile back. Actually, we backed up from the bridge to 404. They could go up and then they gotta be, it's funny. I stay home. Drop.
That's what happened to both, yeah. All right, and then finally Sunday. Again, now we're down to the 88,400 and 1.5 or 1.6% less than last year. Again, driven by lower eastbound demand, so less demand eastbound during Sundays this year than last year. And kind of, if you looked at it, it's there on sort of that beginning of the peak there and sort of this tail end, you're just seeing a drop off small drop off for each of those hours, but cumulatively it adds up a little bit, so. Yeah, so that's all we had for the summer volume review.
You see Monday's like, on this,
I didn't do Mondays.
I'm gonna be looked at it, just wondering, people staying. That's,
I would have to look back at that.
that's for people that are off here or on
It
Monday.
didn't stand out to me, but we did.
Okay.
Next year I could add it.
One thing, Ocean
Summer
City-
Mondays.
Ocean City has a lot of now. You don't have to rent a condo for a week, rent it for a couple of days. Doesn't help out. Doesn't help a lot.
I think that's all I have.
Very informative.
Oh,
The consultant's report that you all gave us, I know it was almost 10 years ago, in which the study tracked the traffic growth over the years ahead. And I've often wondered, is it tracking to what the consultant's report had stated?
oh, they had projections?
Yeah.
Projected traffic. I'd have to look back at that. You know, we obviously had some periods where we were losing, you know, we had a year or two where we lost some volume, obviously 2020. But we've recovered past that and we're still seeing moderate or, small growth here, but I'm not sure if we're seeing the growth at the, projected rate or not.
One of the study results stated that we can expect to see the same volume of traffic that we see on weekends at that time through the whole week.
Through the whole week.
And I just never thought that was gonna happen.
Well, it's creeping into Thursdays. I mean, Thursdays is the second highest day of the week in the summer. And so I think, this time of year, you'll start to see Thursdays fall off compared to Fridays, but, I think, your point. Look at Mondays and see what Mondays have been doing and see how that starts to compare and see if it's, just start to close up and everything becomes a similar demand. But if it, we're at capacity for so much of the day during weekends that it has to grow. If it grows, it's growing somewhere. And a lot of times it's growing in what, little bit of off peak remains. And then, other days of the week that historically weren't as high a demand.
Like anything else?
Just, I guess, questions on the bridge, pier. I guess,
The pier.
yeah, there was a question about that.
I almost forgot that.
Yeah, I didn't, I thought I was gonna ask them again.
Should have upside down.
Man, here, twice. Give it a second. So, if you say that's been that way forever,
Or is
it passed
it's
inspection and even in 1950.
Well, that's the 73 bridge.
Oh, okay, Western Creek. Okay. And, even then, it should not have passed inspection, if it was like that. So something moved that column. Either the ice or the current, or I don't think any big boats hit it.
It didn't move after construction. I'll put it that way. So,
And I've
if
seen this,
something happened during construction, they would have, likely had it reviewed and accepted as constructed.
to see, when looking at it, the two road panels come together. They sit perfectly in the center
Of the cap,
of the big square.
yeah, the cap.
What do you call that? The cap? Okay, it's the cap that's piling that's off. Because the other pilings are on, the cap properly.
Right.
That one's off. But that's got so much extra room. Why don't you shore it up? We keep, the people who are screaming about bridges all the time. They're spending money
It
to
is-
shore it up. They
So
can't
it is
talk
a
about it.
fixed connection. So there's, obviously the pile is put in first.
Yeah.
There's rebar that sticks up and then that rebar is encapsulated into the cap. So it's fixed connection. So it is rebar
But
integral.
you're saying it's cemented. It's not just sitting on that
It's
pile.
not, it's not friction.
How did it move?
It's not friction.
It did not move.
It did-
That's what he's trying to
So
say.
it was just built that way.
If it's built
That's-
that way, it couldn't have moved.
Okay.
If it moved, it would all crack.
When you put the pile in, you're not moving it after.
That makes
So
sense.
when they figured out this was off,
They just left it there and
they just did check the calculation on the bearing capacity of the pile, with that loading kind of being off-centered as opposed to centered. And then when it checks out, they accept it.
So where is it? And is it at the beginning of the bridge, the middle of the bridge, the end of the
It
bridge?
was 69A, and I want to say there's 75. I think we have 75 number of piers, so it's close to the eastern shore.
Okay.
It's about 2/3 on, maybe a third off.
Third off.
Yeah.
It is a 54-inch diameter pile,
Mhm.
so it is not a third off. It looks bad, but
Okay.
So help us communicate that and
Yeah, all right.
see you're out in the community.
We got an election coming up, so. Okay, cool.
We're
Thank you.
understanding that it's sitting there and it's concreted in.
So it's not gonna move, it's just.
It hasn't moved, and it's not gonna move.
Okay,
It can't,
But it's something.
it can't move.
Everyone understand that?
yeah, it was close enough at the time, they
Close
figured.
enough for government.
It's not for bridge engineers, that's something.
yeah, so I think some of the, what you could, was hard to see on the photo, but, a little while ago, we had done a preservation project on those, all those piles. And that's that white coating that you see.
Yeah.
Well, at the interface between the top of the pile and that cap, there was white, waterproofing that had splashed up onto the cap, and it was still there, right? And it was all together with the pile, so obvious that it had moved.
Is that in your response? You mentioned that it's
We
kind
didn't,
of,
we didn't get so.
I mean, we didn't get that detail, but basically saying it has not moved.
because it
And
can't.
then the girder is over the columns.
The whole thing is bad.
Or,
And if you look at what you
Start to break it
they
apart.
centered it before, two road columns.
all right, that part,
That-
that
that's
checks
the most
out.
important.
Yeah, that was, exactly, you're right.
So just to be clear, the bottom line is that it was built that way.
Yes.
Because a few people asked me the question. I couldn't answer it, but it was built.
Yeah, it happened,
And it's gonna stay there.
during construction.
And if they,
And it stayed that way
It's gonna stay that way.
for over 50 years.
Cool.
All right, anybody got any further questions? All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
All right. Terry Seuss with the State Highway Administration. Will Pines sends his regrets. He couldn't be here this evening. Few updates for you on the state highway system. As Ms. Pat already mentioned, we have been doing some work on the lighting at the interchanges on the Anne Arundel County side approaching the bridge. So we worked on all four interchanges, all five, exit 27, 28, 29, 30, and 32. I'm told all the missing light poles have been replaced and all lights are now currently working. Outdoor lighting is kind of a problem for us as it ages. Just water gets in there, different things happen. It is a continual maintenance project. So we can chat when I come to the Broadneck Council meeting about how to report any lights that are out. But I'm told all of them are working at this moment. And as you were driving here today, you might have noticed that we are resurfacing Oceanic Drive and also East College Parkway. That is daytime work with a flagging operation, and they should be done later this month, so late October. And we are doing some nighttime work on the US 50 Severn River Bridge. That is maintenance type work to repair bridge deck drains, some of the joint seals at the abutments, and also the asphalt as you approach the bridge. So that is, again, nighttime work. It is currently ongoing Sunday through Thursday nights. And we expect to be done that in early November. Any questions on any of this? So we Thank you, Jim, for the traffic volumes report. So we are looking now at the ramp closures that we did over the summer, getting some preliminary data back. We still have, more to collect and analyze, but it's looking similar to what we had in past years. So starting on the Anne Arundel County side, we are seeing, a small benefit on the service roads, a few minutes travel time savings. This year, we did see a little bit more delay on US 50 approaching the bridge. So when we first started, we saw a little bit of travel time reduction, meaning it was a little quicker with the ramp closure, and some of that's just that friction, not having that weave right by the bridge. We saw a few minutes of travel time savings. This year, we didn't see that. We actually saw an increase. So we're looking at Maryland 70 to the Bay Bridge, so Rao Boulevard to the bridge. It's 7.6 miles. On Fridays, that travel time is an average of 35 minutes. A few years ago, it was an average travel time of 29 minutes.
Can't really say that's because of the ramp closures or not.
So there's many different factors.
Increase the traffic.
Increase in traffic,
Yeah.
weather, different things, so we are
You did the
looking at that.
traffic count, it's not increased for.
On
Very
Fridays,
nice.
there's a small increase. I noted that. So many different factors, right? Weather crashes.
Right.
We did have a lot of rain.
Rain.
Summer.
Rain, wind.
So I guess just interesting to note, in the past, we had seen a small travel time decrease on 50. This year, we didn't see that.
Gary, could you give just the travel time between Rao Boulevard and the Bay Bridge?
35 minutes on Saturday. I'm sorry, on Friday. On Saturday, it was 31 minutes. Last year, Friday was 31 minutes. Saturday was 26 minutes. So 4 and 5 minute increase from last year.
7 minutes.
From Rao Boulevard.
Okay.
Right, Kent Island side of the bridge, same type of thing. Generally, we heard less feedback from the communities, but again, generally was positive on the ramp closures. Seeing, a benefit on Main Street, so Route 18. Maryland 8 residents still don't like it. We did see a little travel time decrease on US 50 approaching the bridge. Average savings of around 10 to 12 minutes. So we are still seeing that benefit on the westbound approach.
How far do you go back on your area? If you're through
I have
one split or that may improve.
So she said.
15 mile stretch. We went back to the outlets, Queenstown outlets. And then the detour, if anyone is on Route 8 or gets off, has to, go to one of the local businesses or find a restroom or whatever it is to get back on, that detour was ranging 10 to 20 minutes, and it's about 4 miles. So depending on traffic, that can add to your trip.
Terry, if I could comment on that, by allowing access on the 50 at Shopping Center Road, I think really made a huge difference because it just didn't have that huge congestion at the circle where any of us on the island who are, on the eastern part of the island have to go through that circle to go almost anywhere west. And it made a real difference.
Okay. That was all I had.
Great. I got any questions? We're on to our next agenda item. Update on the Bay Bridge Crossing Tier 2 NEPA study. MDTA Department of Planning and Program Development Director, Mr. Williams.
Thank you. How's everyone doing?
Wonderful.
We're good, okay. Just wanted to give you a brief update on the Bay Crossing study. As you know, as I shared last time, the team has been working diligently with the federal agencies as well as the state agencies, developing, as well as Queen Anne and Anne Arundel counties. Queen Anne's and Anne Arundel counties working to develop the draft environmental impact statement. Part of developing the draft environmental impact statement and part of those environmental studies is, Nick, the topic that you brought up about the Coast Guard notice. So what that is, just to give a little explanation, some folks may have seen on Friday, U.S. Coast Guard notice, a preliminary public notice was posted. And what that is it's the Coast Guard's job to tell us how high and how wide our bridge needs to be, the distance underneath for ships to travel, right? That's part of the process. We just did the same process with the bridge, right? So we develop a report and explain, and we share information with them concerning what types of ships are there now, what types of ships are anticipated in the future, and we make a recommendation. We show the numbers of what's there and what's anticipated to be there. Then the Coast Guard comes back and they make a preliminary recommendation. They put that preliminary recommendation out, which is what you saw, and mariners are welcome to give feedback to state what types of ships or what types of boats they're currently using, so that the Coast Guard is sure that when they tell us the height and the width for the water crossing, that they're giving us a good number for not just now, but into the future. No surprise, your Bay Bridge and your Key Bridge are going to match. They will both, we're looking at higher structures. That means that larger ships would be able to access the Port of Baltimore, which is something that our port is very happy about. Continues to help them keep business going, keep business growing. So that report will be out until October 15th. The Coast Guard will be taking comments. Really, that's all it is they're looking at, what they post is what the current height and width is, and what they propose to be the future height and width, which is exactly the same as the Key Bridge.
How much higher is that now?
So it's 185 now and proposed to be 230. Mm-hmm.
I thought the notice was kind of bold because it had in there 2, 3, or 4 lane bridges to be put in place of where the old ones are.
It does.
I didn't know you had gotten that far along that you're talking about lanes.
Yeah, what it states is that there would be, the existing 2 bridges would be taken down, 2 new bridges would be built, and those new bridges would either have 4 or 5 lanes each.
Mhm.
And those are that is the slew of alternatives, that A through G alternatives that I've shared with you. Those parameters cover all of those alternatives.
Where the suspension is now, the center of it, I assume that's the deepest part of the bay, or is that shifted somewhere? Do you have to shift that, just?
We're looking at the same navigational channel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the same channel. I thought you shook your head no, you surprised me. Why did you shake your head no? So that's what that is. It is posted. We do have a link on our website, on the Bay Crossing Study website, under the environmental tab. There is a link to the notice, but what I just told you is exactly what the notice says. It says MDTA is, we're looking to put a new bridge out there. These are the parameters. The Coast Guard is recommending this height and this width. We're looking for input from mariners. So that's part of our process.
That was a good thing.
Yeah.
People see, oh, there's something happening.
Yeah, absolutely. We just put a link because, like I said, it's not our document, it's the Coast Guard's document.
Mhm.
But so we just put a link on our website. If anyone wants to read it, they're welcome to. So with that, that is one of the pieces of our environmental analysis that we're currently working on. Our draft environmental impact statement will be ready for public review in late January. Why is the DEIS important? It's important because what we're going to share with you is all of those alternatives, A through G, the no build all the way up to the 5 lanes 4 or 5 lanes on a new bridge, but we're also going to be sharing the recommended preferred alternative. What that is, the recommended preferred alternative is MDTA, the state of Maryland's recommendation for which alternative we think makes the most sense. So you will see equal information presented for all of the alternatives, but we will make the statement that MDTA supports this particular alternative. We think that it makes the most sense to move forward with. And we'll be taking information on that. So what is that alternative? That's what we'll be sharing in the DEIS, but we will be sharing that alternative. Will tell you how many lanes on the eastern and western shores, how many lanes on the bridge. And remember the video we showed you about where the new bridges could be? So it'll show you if the bridges are going to be north of or south of the existing structures. So it'll show you the configuration as well as the location.
What's the date?
That will be in January. In January. And you will be able to find, and before this all, actually, I think as it goes out, you folks will be getting notification as well. An email will let you know, but it will be on our website as well at baycrossingstudy.com. And we'll also be posting some paper copies at locations throughout the corridor. And we'll post on the website where those locations are, usually libraries is what we usually do. We anticipate that our public hearings for the project will be in February. And I think I could say after Groundhog Day, before President's Day timeframe. So we're looking at early February. We don't have dates to announce right now. We are ironing things out, getting our locations solidified. But that is our goal. That's what we're reaching for. We will have one online meeting followed by 2 in-person public meetings. Now, keeping in mind, I apologize, I said meetings. These are public hearings. So the difference is we will have that open forum at the beginning of the meeting, and then we go into a presentation type presentation. Then folks are welcome to come up to a microphone. This is where you say, this is my name, this is my address, and you have 3 minutes to speak, and you provide your comments, you provide your input. We do not respond to those comments. We respond at a later time in writing in the final environmental impact statement, but you provide your input. So that will be occurring in February, early February. Just to clarify, we made a couple little changes on the website. The end of the project is what's key. There have been no changes. We thought we might be able to get the hearings in late this year, but with schedules and with some of the constraints that our federal partners have with a little bit of downsizing, a little bit of limitations on staff, we chose to move those hearings to February. But we did a little bit of creative math. We took a 15-month schedule. We added 2 additional months, and we came up with a 15-month schedule. So the end of the project will still be, we are looking at a final environmental impact statement with a record of decision in November of 2026. That's where we've been since we started the project. So we have not slipped. We wiggled the schedule internally, but we have not slipped the end of the schedule. You will also see on the schedule that we have some potential dates for the future, including final design and construction. They are, if all the stars are lined up, we do like to give a projection of what could be, which could include spring 2028 for final design and possible summer of 2032 construction. Again, these are aspirational dates. They are if the stars are lined up beautifully. But we like to put an idea out there of timeframes of how long things might take and how we might be able to move forward with the project. Jack has been very busy. We have been at so many different events, pop-up events, community events this summer. On the 4th, we will be at October in Stevensville. And then on the 7th and the 21st of this month, we'll be at the MVA in Easton. So this is something a little bit new that we're doing, is doing some pop-up events at MVAs. So when people come in to do other business, get their easy pass, do MVA business, they'll also be seeing some information about the bridge. And then on November 9th, we will have a booth at the Bay Bridge Walk Run. We also have a Bay Bridge Walk Run team, so there'll be a bunch of us out there. I will be a walker. There are a bunch of us walking, so if any of you would like to join us, please let me know and I can send you the information so you can join our team. We are looking forward to that. With that, are there any questions?
The summer 2032, that's the beginning construction, or the end of construction?
Oh, that could be a beginning.
Okay,
It could be a beginning. Keeping in mind, when we complete the project, we need to have a plan for how we could move forward. And that is a potential option for how we could move forward.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next thing we have is unfinished business, and there's one item, unfinished business, an update on the Bay Bridge signage from the MDTA Chief Engineer Jim Harkness, DOT OCHA Deputy Administrator, Chief Engineer.
I think it's just Jim, that's gonna do this. I'll intro Jim for this, but, as you may recall at the last meeting, there was some discussion about the truck signage and making sure that, those larger vehicles are not in the, left lane. So, I'd like to thank Jim and the team for kind of taking another look at that. This is one of the most heavily signed corridors in the region, and I think a lot of us feel like, maybe additional signs wouldn't even make a difference, but we did hear from you as a group and from Commissioner Moran that, there's the feeling like we can't be too safe out there. So I asked the team to look for, some options. So Jim's going to present some things that we're considering to move forward with. Okay, Charles.
Okay, so just try to orient you here a little bit. Top half of the screen is the Western Shore. Bottom half being Eastern Shore. We're looking at signs that are in with the gray background. Those would be existing signs. And signs with the white background, those would be signs we would propose to put out there. We have all of our kind of our gantries on here in blue. Those are where the lane use control signals are. There are also some sign structures mixed in there. So what we start with, if we're going to work eastbound, so on the far left of the upper side there, we have a notice sign that's out by the bushes fronted here. And so that's the first kind of truck restriction related sign that we have. And that's a large overhead sign. Actually, that one's brown. But it's a fairly large sign, just notifying that there is a lane restriction ahead. So today that lane restriction kicks in at what we have labeled there as G4. So this is an existing sign, but we show it as new because we're going to change it. We're going to add a panel on top that says begin. So we're going to let people know this is where the enforcement, that lane restriction begins. But between those two signs, we're going to add an additional large sign up overhead. And that would be the notice sign, which provides a distance to that first sign that I just was talking about. So it would say, hey, half a mile ahead, is where this restriction starts. And then we'll have that sign that says it begins here. We don't really propose any other changes eastbound. That's about 2.5 miles from the bridge, that first sign, the first restriction sign. So we can flip to now Eastern Shore, and so the westbound approach. Existing sign, we have an existing notice sign, and that's right here before ramp 8 or Maryland 8, the ramp to Maryland 8. We have that existing sign. What we're going to propose to do is remove that sign, relocate it approximately 2 miles further east. That's around the Piney Creek Road exit, somewhere in that general area. We're still looking at these things. This is all preliminary. We still have our engineering work to do on it, but this is where we want to locate it. We then follow that similarly with what we did for eastbound. We follow that with this notice sign that now has a distance to the start of the restriction. So that first sign says lane restriction ahead. Then we get specific with the distance. And then we follow that now with the begins sign and the restriction here at Duke Street. So today, the restriction itself starts here after the ramp, from Maryland 8. And so we relocate that upstream to Duke Street, almost a mile further east.
And that way they have no excuse something.
You wouldn't think they'd have an excuse, but
They get a ticket.
Yeah.
They give them a ticket.
they did. So,
What is the size of the trucks that is destroyed?
so we list this as a gross vehicle weight of 5 ton.
Right.
Yeah. So a registered gross vehicle weight of 5 ton or over.
On the westbound side, there is no contraflow on the like lane 3. There's no trucks allowed, correct?
Correct.
There are some across there. Hopefully they get tickets.
And these new signs up there.
That's what this effort for is for.
Give them a ticket. Come on, I'll take it. They'll feel that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's read the news and heard this week about the truckers who don't speak English and they can't read signs. And I know you have a solution for that. It's nice to read this here, but, there has to be a tightening up of the award of truckers licenses so that we're secure, and that's not happening.
Any more questions? If your questions, All right, thank you very much. All right, next new business, Bay Bridge Run. First item of business, an overview of the upcoming Bay Bridge Run from Bay Bridge Administrator Jamie Turner.
So good evening, I'm James Turner, Facility Administrator here at the Bay Bridge. I just wanted to do a quick announcement of upcoming bridge run. So this year's bridge run is once again hosted by Corrigan Sports and will take place Sunday, November 9th. Coordination and planning efforts are ongoing. And we work closely with the 2 counties and supporting agencies to help plan a safe event.
Could you speak up?
Yes, ma'am. So coordination and planning has been ongoing with the 2 counties and supporting agencies to help plan a safe event. Registration for the event opened on May 23rd. Registration is up this year by approximately 22%, and Corrigan's expecting, actually, I'm sorry, just under 13,000 have registered as of September 9th. So we're expecting a little bit more this year. Messaging will go out the week prior on DMS and portable BMS signs, alert motorists of the event and will stay clear of the area. In years past, we'll be closing the eastbound bridge the night before. 2-way will be on the westbound bridge. We'll have 1 lane going east and 2 going west. Again, this year in the finish area, there's a post-race celebration, live music, food, refreshments, which is open to all runners, friends, and family, and it'll be located over at the Chesapeake Bay Business Park. And looking forward to another fun, safe event. And for more information, you can visit thebaybridgerun.com. Thank you.
Question for me?
We'll note based on a little view earlier today that you can't start earlier than 8:45. The slots up until then are all full.
All righty, next we have lane use control enforcement. Update on the lane use control enforcement from MDTA Chief Operating Officer Richard Harriman. Richard.
I think Bruce, you gonna cover this first?
I saw your name on there. I know we talked about it, so I wasn't prepping, but
Yeah.
I can do that. So this is also a topic that came up last time with the group. So wanted to talk a little bit about the enforcement efforts that we have had. So on August 12th, we did some enforcement, and we had traffic stops of 69 there. 59 were for red X violations. August 27th, we did eastbound and westbound, basically the evening hours, overnight, construction work zone, high visibility enforcement. We had 23 stops in that period. the enforcement efforts of the state of our police force overall for both Red X, and the police force has really stepped up their efforts throughout all our facilities on traffic stops and safety, getting our numbers back up this year. On the ICC, for instance, we've had similar experience on that. So just wanted to take note that we are continuing to focus on this. I know there was also a discussion, Commissioner mentioned last time, an interest in automated enforcement for the Red X. That we had that question come to us at the CTP tour meeting last week. What I told the commissioners and the senators and delegates at that time is that I think it would be beneficial that we did a little bit of kind of evaluation with the help of some consultant work over the next several months to a year to really look at what we would be talking about in terms of how we would do the automated enforcement. What we found in dealing with in working with state highways on speed cameras, it's an extensive procurement process even after you get a legislative change. It would be best if we had some more information, not only to inform potential procurement if legislation were to pass, but also to inform a fiscal note that would be considered by the General Assembly. So I think in this way, we will be able to provide more information to the, both the commissioners, the local groups that, such as you representing your communities on how that type of system might work. And my suggestion would be to, allow us to do that if there is some commitment that the commissioner needs, and we'll be talking to him about that, I'm sure, before the legislative session. And we get that done before any legislative consideration. But I'm not a member of the Maryland General Assembly, and I don't have any ability to stop bills from being introduced in the Maryland General Assembly, so I won't try. I'll just make that offer and say what our intent would be to study that. We did have conversations with State Highway, so we are talking about a system that would be on Maryland State Highway, basically property with a Red X system that is operated by the MDTA. So this came about with the commissioners kind of asking, well, who would have responsibility for this system? And I think, that's still to be determined. It probably makes more sense in talking about it between the two agencies that it be an MDTA system. But I just have to say that, when we did this evaluation on a speed enforcement system isolated to the ICC, it's a pretty heavy duty price tag. Last year, when a speed enforcement system for highways not related to work zones, two or three different bills passed the Maryland General Assembly. So SHA has been in the procurement world for I-695, I-83 in Baltimore County. And then I bill for the ICC, so it would all be kind of the same system. So there's some economies of scale with those with a Red X system here at the Bay Bridge, on a per unit basis, it could be pretty pricey. But we are willing to look into that with some extra work over the next year.
It's more complicated than I think most people would realize.
Yeah, sometimes we get told that a lot in state government, that we overcomplicate things, but we also know what doing things too simplistically can do to us in the long run. So need to really think through some of these things.
There's not an actual device made right now that probably does that.
I mean, there's very few facilities that have our type of operation. I believe there are probably devices out, but Jim, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, not in the United States. So that's part of what this study is going to do, is to look at international experience. And I mean, we will talk to vendors in the United States that operate, toll systems and other enforcement systems. But internationally, where we'll have to look for the example for land use controls.
I said this once before, can you just put signs there that say photo enforce? Well, again, I'm serious. And I get an issue, and you put that thing up there, you can need a wheelbarrow to take the money off.
It just I'm smiling because it makes me remember a story of criticism before I got to the agency. If anybody remembers the port having wooden surveillance cameras up in they looked like cameras and they weren't. I mean, we're talking 20-some years ago, so it's just like, yeah, I don't really like doing those types of things, but it's a good suggestion.
All right, the next thing we have is Bay Bridge Wireless Emergency Alerts. You want to cover that?
Yeah, and Richard, I don't know if you want to join me up here, but Jason, Pulliam is also, joined, as you heard, as well as our colleagues from the two counties. But, yeah, this is a follow-up, to a request from this group, from some of the state elected officials. When we, discontinued the text alert system, as you may recall, that, was put in place for, a previous redecking project in the 2019, 2020 time period in my gap in service. Did that, but that was the fairly expensive system and one that MDTA was not in control of. What we had been focused on when we discontinued that is making sure we were pushing our customers to baseband, to utilizing that service. And, it's pretty reliable to do that. And, if you have the talk to text, and you can just say, call baseband, have it unload your phone. It's kind of, it ends up being a hands-free device. At least that's what we thought was a very good option. We have heard, throughout the last couple of years that there, was a need, by, the surrounding communities for a little bit more intelligence on what is happening on the bridge. So we went to the emergency management agencies with MDM and the two counties, since they have this, the integrated public alert and warning system. So IPAWS is the acronym for that, and they do wireless emergency alerts through that system. So working with those entities, we come up with the concept. Richard, could have you kind of describe what that is? But the bottom line, I'll take a little bit of Richard's thunder, but is that the groups worked out that we would really do these only in the when we anticipate closures of one of the bridges for 3 or more hours. Now, at hour 1, do we know that's actually going to be 3 or only 2.5? We have to make our judgment. I think, based on my experience on I-95 over the weekend, yeah, the police and the emergency responders were pretty clear, like it was going to take a while to do some of the clearances that we had on I-95. And I think, with the sophistication of the groups these days, we can make those guesses. I've heard from some elected officials that they want something more. What I would just, counter with is that I think this is a great place to start. Let's see how it goes. We think that this is probably based on the last couple of years of 3 to 4 times a year. Hopefully none. Hopefully 0. Right. But and I'm going to have Richard with backup from Jason and the locals talk through like the concepts for how these alerts go out in a little more detail.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. And just to kind of piggyback off that, again, based on historical events and numbers, we anticipate somewhere between 3 to 4 times a year. Hopefully not, of course, but we don't expect any more than that. And the 3 hours we feel again is a little lengthy, but we want to try this, and it's an effort to try and help on our customer service side. And notifications to the public, the traveling public. So what we've done is we worked with the Maryland Department of Emergency Management and partnered with local jurisdictions from Queen Anne's County and Anne Arundel County, and worked together to develop this wireless emergency alert messaging system, which will essentially be sent out to geofenced areas for high-level emergencies at the Bay Bridge, and just at the Bay Bridge. Those messages will be received on mobile device similar to Amber Alerts. The alerts will be utilized for incidents impacting the Bay Bridge that are anticipated to last for 3 hours or more. And again, we will have some geofence template areas. And do we have those up, Charles? It may be a little difficult to see, but these geofenced areas and templates that we have them listed were identified and developed and agreed upon by Queen Anne's County and Anne Arundel counties. So these were the areas that they felt we needed to geofence. And based on their request and our approval as well as MDEM's, those are going to be the geofenced areas we have. I think there's you have one, two, yep, got two of them. So basically, when MDTA receives a request and we anticipate that it's going to last 3 hours or more, this message will be sent out within 3 minutes of notification. Any follow-up messages that may be needed, if this turns into something larger, such as a shelter in place or evacuations, we can then regroup, remessage, and send those protective active messages. When IPAWS is activated to include specific agreed upon geofence areas, those areas, all the motorists that are in those geofenced areas will be notified. If you're outside that geofenced area, you will not be notified. However, if you enter into the geofence and you were not there, you will then receive that alert. Why did we go with the IPAWS alert? Again, to help increase customer and motorist communication on messaging, including geofenced areas with significant area for at least 3 hours or more. So this was again a response for more communication, and this is our attempt to try and do so in coordination with MDM and the counties. So this process went live on May 21st. So it's in place. It's important to stress that these messages will be used only for high impact incidents only, and not for normal delays, disables, or any other kind of notification. That's what we have. Jason Pulliam is our Director of Traffic Management Technology. He was actually very instrumental in working through this with Queen Anne's County, Anne Arundel County, and MDEM. And I know that we have Queen Anne's County and Anne Arundel County, I believe, on the line. Jason, anything further you'd like to add, sir?
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Richard, and great job detailing how the alert system is going to be activated. Nothing in general. I just want to again thank our partners for partnering with MDTA to be able to put this type of alert system in play and messaging for our customers that are using the Bay Bridge facility. So thank you to Queen Anne's and Anne Arundel County.
Anne Arundel, Queen Anne's County, anything to add?
Excuse me, for Anne Arundel, again, thank you for the partnership. What I do want to point out is that, you know, we, again, as explained, this is for high impact incidents, but this doesn't prevent county emergency management agencies from issuing emergency notifications for other situations as well. So we each have our own mass notification system. And if we feel that we need to follow our existing procedures for other incidents, we will do so.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, if there's gonna be an interruption at the bridge for 3 hours or more, this will take effect.
That's correct.
I understand 2.5. You gotta have.
Could you speak up?
Say it one more
You
time.
have to have some play in time. Like you said, if it's 2.5, it's, you know, you don't know until you start.
Well, yeah, we won't know. These are going to be based off of, you know, obviously the Bay Bridge team is very, very familiar with, you know, what we anticipate to be at 3 hours or more. We usually work around, as you all know, somewhere around the 2 hour time frame, a lot for the Route 8 and 18 plan that we usually have in place. So this will be just something a little larger than that, and again, high impact.
You experienced this some years ago. There was a chicken coop going off the bridge into the water. That was all over the East Coast news. People detouring.
Is there a way to have, say like this would be a first level announcement, and have like a second level for people to go further down the shore, or even over to Virginia, DC area? You notice, you know what I mean? It would be to alert people further away. You're looking.
Oh,
at 3
you're
hours.
looking, yeah, you mean, once we get to the 3 hours and then to start alert elsewhere, yes.
Yes.
We have that capability, if we'll reach out to SHA and chart, and we can start messaging and making that.
So like
information
11 2, like, oh, this is really gonna be 3 hours,
Yeah.
4 hours.
And we've done that in many instances, whether it's up north or.
Because you're coming back from Ocean City where you could take 13 or you could do to get up around 301 or whatever, and they can go around DC and all the, stay home where there's.
But just to be clear though, I mean, you saw the maps up there. This is a relatively tight
Tight area.
geofenced area. So these are, you're not signing up for these and it comes, no matter where you are. The
Right.
phone has to be within these areas. And I think that the team felt like that was an important first cut to see and make sure we're not connected, because these things cause a lot of follow-on effects for emergency management if they go too widely. I think the benefit of this system is once that happens, people take notice and, we get social media out there, we get news out there. Having this happen, the reporter that lives in the geofenced area might be, more likely to get out there and, help us, convey that message out there. So it's a force multiplier for sure. And that's why we appreciate, just being able to start at this level, but don't want, to think that it's like, this is immediately expandable down to the shore outside these two counties. Because I think the counties would want to talk to you about, the downsides of going too far on some of these things with this.
Which is why Anne Arundel County, very, very well said, they've got their own processes in place as well, for, extenders, if we need to extend and such. So we're trying to keep this tight with existing processes that are outside whether the county or the state.
Clarify one thing. You subscribe to this or
No,
your phone's in the area?
Your phone's in the area, Ketzel. Yeah, I think we've all been, those, I know I'm noticing a lot more with the tornado, warnings and watches and flood, flash flood alerts and amber alerts. We're all experiencing that more with our more modern devices and systems.
All right, any more questions? All right, next thing we'll move on to, thank you. Next we'll move on to the public comments. We have enough. Let's say something to Richard about, one of the past Bay Bridge administrators, Lewis Kelly, everybody who remembers him. Remember his local guy, Ken Allen and all, he passed away. Last week, week before that, I guess it was, that was service and all that stuff. Last week. He was a good local guy, and they said his obituary, he tried to ride his bike on the Bay Bridge, and he was 13 or 16 or something like that, years old. He tried to.
They said, stop that, get a job.
Yeah. I think he was a police officer, then he ended up being moved on up as a bridge administrator. Good man, good local guy, big supporter of the Bay Bridge, so. All right, public comments, anybody online or?
No, I didn't get any requests.
Are you awake still?
Yes.
All right, just making sure.
Well,
All right.
I'd just like to say, I'm sorry that we end up having all these updates, when Commissioner Moran wasn't here. We've got, the monitor in the back of the room here that promised to be reporting back. But, I thank Commissioner for his input. A couple of items that we've had, are things that he's brought up. So just want to acknowledge, that while he's not here. I don't know if I would have said that if he had been here, so.
Right.
Say what's not.
All right, public comments, we go into,
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought this was a very good meeting, a very important day to present, and thank you very much for it. I have one suggestion, and that is members of the BRAG come and go on the public side. And it would be nice, and I've talked to you, that is, if we had a letter of thanks or something, rather than just say, somebody, your time is up. And I know Barbara Hitchens, when she was invited to leave, there was nothing followed up on her, and she was a vice chair, and had been, many of us have been with the BRAGs before it was formalized.
Good.
And, I'm sure she's been in the hospital quite a bit lately.
Melissa does send an email to those, everyone thanking them for their time, dedication, all that stuff. Correct, Melissa?
Yes, I do send an email. I know.
Yeah.
Melissa and I've talked about it.
Because she usually copies me on it and stuff, and
Yeah.
thanks everybody for your time and
Well, something at the meeting, you know, meeting, just say, hey, thanks for your devotion to the BBRAG, attendance meeting. Rather than just having to leave and say, yeah, I sent them a letter. We can bring roses or cupcakes.
Food's always good.
Cupcakes.
Food's good, right? All right.
Lynn had her hand up.
Online?
No, I was just, I think somebody said it already, but the governor's appointments office does send a letter thanking anyone who either resigns from a board or leaves a board, a letter thanking them for their service. So they do get a letter from the governor, signed by the governor.
But that's not.
All right. Thank you for that information.
You know, if I could make a comment just from the governor's appointment office. I shared with you guys last time, I had one heck of a time getting my application completed. And they were kind enough to say, bring your computer into the office here. Don't turn anything off, just bring it in. And I did, and they were able to work through, get the data off of my system onto theirs. And I ended up getting a congratulatory letter a couple weeks later that I was reappointed. But they were tremendously helpful. I can't thank them enough. Yeah.
I've been through the same thing in the last 3 months. I submitted 7 applications. Not one of them was acknowledged. And then they finally said, well, you didn't submit an application. I said, yeah, yes, I did.
Oh, man.
And they finally called me up and we had to do it over the phone. Not state highways called it. I don't think it ever got out of the government appointment.
All right. Anything else for you? Next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, January the 7th, same place, same time, 2026 already. Pushing it. Please have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Karen? Second, so moved. Thank you all for your time and have a Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's the first.
Happy Halloween. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Happy